Have you ever felt an inexplicable connection with someone, as if you've known them for centuries, not just years? Edgar Cayce, America's most documented psychic, discovered something profound about the bonds between lovers that most of us completely overlook. While working in his trance state, accessing what he called the Akashic Records, the universal memory of all souls, Cayce revealed that the connection between lovers runs far deeper than physical attraction or compatible personalities. He uncovered patterns of soul recognition that transcend our current understanding of relationships. These revelations weren't meant just for the thousands who sought his readings. They contain wisdom that could transform how we understand our deepest connections with others. What Cayce discovered about the soul bond between lovers challenges everything we think we know about love, destiny, and the true purpose of romantic relationships. In the quiet darkness of his home in Virginia Beach, a modest man with extraordinary gifts would lie down on his couch, close his eyes, and journey beyond the limitations of physical existence. Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, left behind a collection of readings that offer unprecedented insights into the nature of human souls and their eternal connections. Among the countless pages of transcribed sessions discovered in a previously sealed vault, several remarkable documents have emerged containing Cayce's most profound and rarely discussed insights about the soul connections between lovers. The first entry appears to be from a winter morning in 1936. The handwriting is measured but intense. I have hesitated to share these observations fully, even with those closest to me. The implications are too vast, too contrary to our current understanding of human bonds. What I've seen in the deeper records challenges the very foundation of how we perceive romantic love. Cayce continues in what appears to be a personal reflection. Most assume that we find our partners through chance meetings, physical attraction, or shared interests. How limited this understanding is. What I've witnessed in the Akashic patterns reveals something far more profound, that souls recognize each other across the boundaries of time and space, drawn together by connections forged over countless incarnations. In these private writings, Cayce describes what he calls soul resonance, a phenomenon that transcends our conventional understanding of attraction. The moment two souls with a shared spiritual history encounter each other in physical form, there occurs a recognition that exists beyond conscious awareness. It manifests as an immediate sense of familiarity, a feeling of coming home. Most attribute this to chemistry or compatibility, but they're perceiving only the surface ripples of deep cosmic currents. What's particularly fascinating in these discovered notes is how Cayce distinguishes between different types of soul connections. Not all powerful attractions indicate a positive soul history. Some of the most intense connections represent unresolved spiritual lessons. This explains why some people feel irresistibly drawn to relationships that bring them pain. The soul seeks completion of unfinished business from previous incarnations. The manuscript contains several passages where Cayce wrestles with his own observations. I find myself questioning whether I should share these insights more broadly. Most people aren't prepared to understand that their strongest attractions often involve souls they've known across multiple lifetimes. The person you love today may have been your child, your parent, your enemy, or your teacher in previous existences. This knowledge could fundamentally transform how we approach our most intimate relationships. One particularly revealing entry describes what Cayce calls soul agreements, pre-birth arrangements between souls to reconnect in each lifetime. Before entering physical existence, souls make agreements to find each other again. These agreements serve the growth of both individuals and contain specific lessons to be learned together. What appears as chance, meeting your beloved through a seemingly random encounter, is actually the fulfillment of a cosmic appointment arranged before birth. Cayce's notes become more specific as he details the signs of these profound soul connections. When souls with significant shared history reconnect, certain unmistakable patterns emerge. There's often an immediate and overwhelming sense of recognition, a feeling that defies rational explanation. Time seems to behave differently when these souls are together. Hours pass like minutes. Communication frequently transcends words, with each person knowing the other's thoughts before they're expressed. Dreams may feature the other person before you've even met them physically. In a particularly intriguing passage, Cayce addresses the phenomenon that most people completely miss. The most significant indicator of a profound soul connection, one that almost everyone overlooks, is the mutual catalyst effect. True soul partners accelerate each other's spiritual growth, often in challenging ways. Many expect these connections to be consistently harmonious, but their true purpose is evolution of consciousness. This is why these relationships can simultaneously feel perfectly right, yet bring our deepest wounds to the surface. The manuscript contains Cayce's observations about why these connections are often misunderstood. Modern society has lost the wisdom to recognize the true nature of these bonds. People seek partners based on comfort, security, and surface compatibility, missing entirely that the greatest soul connections often initially bring disruption. These connections shake us from spiritual complacency and challenge our most fundamental assumptions about ourselves. Cayce elaborates on a concept he terms soul complementarity. Each soul carries certain dominant energetic patterns and lacks others. When souls with complementary patterns meet, there's a powerful sense of wholeness that emerges from their union. This explains the feeling that one has finally found their other half. It's not merely poetic language, but a reflection of energetic completion. One remarkable section describes Cayce's observations of what happens in the unseen dimensions when soul partners reconnect. What most cannot perceive is the extraordinary energetic exchange that occurs when souls with strong connections reunite. There's an immediate recognition at the etheric level, a merging of auras that precedes any conscious awareness. This creates the inexplicable feeling of knowing someone instantly. The luminous threads that connect their energy fields, visible to those with spiritual sight, tell the story of their shared journey across multiple lifetimes. The notes reveal Cayce's concern about relationships formed without this deeper connection. Many unions lack this profound soul recognition, being instead based on external factors or temporary needs. These relationships serve their purpose, but don't catalyze the profound spiritual growth that soul connections facilitate. This explains why many partnerships feel satisfactory, but lack the transformative power that characterizes true soul bonds. In a particularly candid reflection, Cayce writes, "I've observed that soul connections don't always lead to lifelong partnerships. Sometimes souls reunite briefly to resolve specific karmic patterns or to assist each other at crucial junctures. The duration of the relationship doesn't necessarily indicate its significance in the soul's journey. A brief but profound connection may serve a greater purpose than a lengthy but spiritually stagnant one." Cayce's manuscript contains several passages about the challenges these connections bring. What most fail to understand is that the most significant soul connections often trigger our deepest wounds. This is by design, not accident. These relationships act as mirrors, reflecting back the aspects of ourselves that require healing and integration. Many flee from these connections precisely when they begin to serve their highest purpose, the transformation of consciousness. One entry appears to have been written after a particularly profound reading. "Today, I glimpsed something that left me in awe, the actual formation of soul bonds across multiple incarnations. I witnessed how souls weave connections through shared experiences across thousands of years of Earth time. What we perceive as irresistible attraction in this life may be the culmination of a relationship that has developed across civilizations long fallen to dust. The depth and complexity of these connections far exceed our current understanding of human relationships." Cayce describes what he terms soul recognition signals, the subtle indicators that one has encountered a significant soul connection. The eyes remain the most powerful conductors of soul recognition. When souls with a profound shared history meet, there's often a moment of startling recognition through eye contact, a sudden sense that one is looking not just at a stranger, but at someone deeply familiar. Time seems to pause. Many report a strange sensation, as if the surrounding environment momentarily fades from awareness, leaving only the connection between the two souls. His notes contain observations about how these connections affect the physical body. What science has yet to discover is how soul recognition triggers measurable physiological responses. The heart rhythm actually alters in the presence of a soul connection. The electromagnetic field of the heart expands and synchronizes with the other person's field. This creates the sensation of emotional expansiveness and activation, often described as falling in love, though it's actually a far more complex spiritual phenomenon. Cayce writes with particular concern about societal misunderstandings. The modern world has lost the wisdom to properly interpret these profound connections. People are taught to seek partners who provide stability and comfort, who share their interests and values. While these factors have their place, they represent a profoundly limited understanding of the true purpose of soul partnerships, which is mutual spiritual evolution, even when that process proves challenging or uncomfortable. In one revealing passage, Cayce addresses the phenomenon of immediate trust that often accompanies these connections. When souls who have maintained positive connections across multiple lifetimes reunite, there's often an immediate and profound trust that defies conventional explanation. Individuals may share their deepest secrets and vulnerabilities with someone they've just met, recognizing at a soul level that this person has proven trustworthy across centuries of shared experience. The manuscript contains Cayce's observations about soul groups. Most fail to recognize that we travel through multiple lifetimes with the same soul group, a collection of beings who serve as our spiritual family across incarnations. The strongest romantic connections often come from within this soul group, explaining the sense of familiarity and belonging that accompanies these relationships. We are, in a very real sense, recognizing family when we encounter these powerful connections. Cayce notes how these connections transcend physical appearance. What fascinates me is how soul recognition operates independently of physical attributes. A soul will recognize its counterpart regardless of the body it currently inhabits. This explains cases where someone feels an inexplicable connection to a person who doesn't match their usual preferences or expectations. The soul recognizes what the conscious mind cannot yet see. In a particularly insightful passage, Cayce addresses the concept of twin souls. Much has been misunderstood about the notion of twin souls or twin flames. These are not simply romantic ideals, but represent a specific type of soul connection where two aspects of the same spiritual energy experience physical reality from different perspectives. When these souls reunite in physical form, the recognition is often overwhelming and transformative. However, contrary to popular belief, these connections are often the most challenging, as they reflect our deepest patterns and illusions. Cayce's notes reveal his observations about the timing of these reunions. There exists a profound orchestration in the timing of significant soul reunions. Souls reconnect at precise moments in each other's development when both are ready for the specific growth that their reunion will catalyze. What appears as chance, meeting at a particular place at a particular time, is actually the result of intricate planning at the soul level, sometimes prepared over centuries. The manuscript contains Cayce's reflections on why these connections sometimes don't last. Many assume that a profound soul connection should result in a lifelong partnership. This represents a limited understanding of the purpose of these relationships. Some soul connections come together briefly to catalyze specific growth, or to exchange particular energies or lessons, then separate when that purpose is fulfilled. The success of such connections should be measured not by their longevity, but by the transformation they engender. One particularly profound entry describes what Cayce terms soul contracts. Before incarnation, souls often make specific agreements about the relationships they'll form and the lessons they'll help each other learn. These contracts contain both challenges and blessings. What most fail to recognize is that the difficulties in a relationship may be precisely what both souls agreed to experience for their mutual growth. Comfort was never the primary goal of the most significant soul connections. Cayce writes about the unusual synchronicities that often accompany these meetings. When souls with strong connections prepare to reunite in physical reality, the universe often provides signs and synchronicities to guide them together. Recurring symbols, meaningful coincidences, and dreams often presage these meetings. Most people dismiss these as mere chance, missing the elegant orchestration occurring beyond ordinary perception. The final pages of the manuscript contain what appears to be Cayce's most profound insights on this subject. What I've come to understand after thousands of readings is that love between souls is the fundamental creative force in the universe. Each significant connection serves not only individual growth, but contributes to the evolution of all consciousness. When souls who are deeply connected reunite and fulfill their spiritual purpose together, they generate energetic patterns that affect the entire fabric of reality. In his concluding thoughts, Cayce writes with unusual certainty, "The most powerful truth, the one most people completely miss, is that these profound soul connections are not primarily about personal happiness or emotional fulfillment. They are about mutual spiritual awakening. The intense attraction, the sense of recognition, the feeling of coming home. These are not ends in themselves, but doorways to expanded consciousness. When we understand this, we approach our deepest relationships not just as sources of personal satisfaction, but as sacred partnerships dedicated to mutual spiritual evolution." What Edgar Cayce discovered about the soul connection between lovers transforms our understanding of romantic relationships entirely. Through his remarkable access to the Akashic Records, he revealed that what we experience as attraction and love often represents the reunion of souls who have known each other across multiple lifetimes. These connections transcend the limitations of our current identities, drawing from a vast reservoir of shared experiences spanning centuries or even millennia. The most profound revelation, the one most people completely miss, is that these soul connections aren't primarily about finding happiness or companionship. They serve as catalysts for spiritual growth and consciousness expansion. The person who most powerfully attracts you is often the one who will challenge your deepest patterns and illusions, bringing to the surface exactly what you need to heal and transform. Cayce's insights explain why some connections feel so inexplicably powerful from the first meeting. What we're experiencing isn't just chemistry or compatibility, but soul recognition, an awareness that operates below conscious thought, drawing from the accumulated history of many shared lifetimes. This explains the sense of familiarity, the feeling of coming home that characterizes these profound connections. Perhaps most significantly, Cayce's work reveals that these connections aren't accidental. The souls we most deeply connect with are those we've made agreements with before birth to reunite with in this lifetime. These soul contracts contain specific lessons and growth opportunities that both parties have agreed to experience together. The meeting that seems like chance, bumping into your future partner at a coffee shop or being introduced by a mutual friend, actually represents the fulfillment of a plan made before either of you took your first breath in this incarnation. This understanding transforms how we might approach our deepest relationships. Rather than seeking partners solely based on comfort or shared interests, we might recognize that the connections that most challenge and transform us often serve our highest evolution. The relationship that brings both profound joy and difficult lessons may be exactly the one our soul has been seeking. Cayce's work suggests that the universe conspires to bring soul partners together at precisely the right moment in both people's development. The timing of significant meetings isn't random, but orchestrated to serve the growth needs of both souls. This explains why some powerful connections come later in life, or why someone we might have met years ago becomes significant only when we encounter them again at a different stage of our journey. What Cayce discovered invites us to look beyond the surface of our relationships to their deeper spiritual purpose. In doing so, we transform our understanding of love from a primarily personal experience to a powerful vehicle for spiritual awakening and consciousness evolution. Through our deepest connections with others, we're not just finding partners, we're rediscovering aspects of our own souls that have been with us across the vast journey of many lifetimes. Thank you for exploring these profound insights with us. If you've ever experienced the kind of soul connection we've described, we'd love to hear your story in the comments below. Every experience shared adds to our collective understanding of these remarkable bonds. Your engagement helps us bring these transformative ideas to more people who might be experiencing these connections. without understanding their deeper significance. Subscribe to our channel for more explorations of Edgar Cayce's remarkable insights into the nature of consciousness, relationships, and spiritual growth. Remember, the most powerful connections in your life aren't accidents. They're reunions of souls who have known each other far longer than this lifetime can measure.